Hi guys.
Good morning.
So we said we would go live, do a Basics 101. We are not fishing today. We are waiting on the water to clear up a little bit more. But in the meantime, we want to go ahead and get back to basics of things. I'm going to just let Jay kind of explain what he wanted to do.
Well, plus we had other family here and we weren't out. We were doing more things with them. They weren't really fishermen or wanted to be on the boat as much because the water wasn't great. So we did some other things inshore, onshore, on the land. I basically want to go through today. People that, let's just say, hey, you saw somebody fishing and you want to go fishing, but you don't have any idea. You know what a fishing rod and reel looks like, but that's it. And I'm going to fill in all the blanks. I'm going to go over all the parts of a rod, all the parts of reels, line types, lures, weights, baits, hooks, and some of the accessories that make it a lot more enjoyable. I can give you some price points here and there, but that's relative to your area and stuff like that. But I think we're going to have some fun. Take a look around. Let her show you what we got laid out today.
That's pretty cool.
And it's a lot of stuff, but this is to give you an idea when you go from, you know, hey, I just got started and I got a basic setup and I got the basic stuff, to how you can use that and be effective with it. And maybe down the road you want to get even better things. So now you know what to look for.
All right, hang on. Let's see who's all here.
All right. Howdy, everybody. I haven't done this in a while, and I'm kind of glad I did it because it made me take all my tackle apart.
Yes.
So I had some lures that have been just shoved in places, which is something I'll probably hit on later. Don't do that.
Yes.
You end up getting hooks through things that you don't want them in. Your hands is a bad one. But I have a lot of little tips that will come out during this, and it should be a pretty interesting show. There we call it show. Is this a show?
Hold on a second. Let me see.
Hello, hello, hello.
Guess what? Gonna need my glasses. Ah, rah, rah, rah. Cunt.
Don't say that again.
What? Why?
Hey, whoever that was, not cool. You might as well just leave now because you're going to get blocked.
Oh, geez.
We have fun, but that's not the kind of fun. You're talking to my wife. Thank you very much.
Whoa.
Keep that pointed there and look at me. Come on. That was stuff you do when you're in grade school.
Yeah, little kid stuff. I didn't go fishing for 26 years now. Wow. Yeah, let me see.
You can change that today. You can change that
right.
today. If anyone was wondering what just happened, someone just made a terrible joke while my wife is on here reading this. Now, had this been my daughter, I'd probably even be more upset. But you see how quickly I don't play with certain things. I'm all peace, love, and light until you get up in my business.
Blocked you. Blew something. Blew that.
Blew his freaking day because you could have come in here and learned something, but you wanted to be smart and not in the right way.
Yeah.
We do not take any sexual comments on here.
Awesome response, man. Appreciate the live for your wife. Thank you. Yeah, it was disrespectful. But let's move on. It's okay.
I didn't see, so I didn't even realize this was here, but I knew it was in the house. So our son-in-law thought this was one of the coolest things. This is a real gator head. They put red eyes in them, but yeah, do we have gators around here? Yep.
Yeah.
Arr.
He bought that at the local little store.
But it was sitting somewhere else, and I just turned around and there was a gator behind me.
What's up, Knoxville, Tennessee? Yeah, any Fishman 330. We're gonna give all kinds of advice on some fishing. Jay's got all of his stuff out, so he's gonna go over everything.
By the way, this isn't all my stuff.
And you should get the cast net out, the broken one, the tore up one. Add to your.
Actually, yeah. That's what I needed to get, a regular net too. So give me just a minute. I got one more thing I got to bring out. A different type of net. And we'll have 3 types of nets to talk about today.
Yes. How often do we clean our boat? That would be probably almost every time we get off the boat. Which which was almost every day. So I think I can do that. But to clean, we'll just do it every once in a while when we feel like it needs it. Lake or river do you all fish? We're actually in the salt water. So I can show you right now. Right outside is our boat, and we're on a canal. But unfortunately, in our area, we've got some red tide, which is the red algae bloom, or the algae bloom that has been. The water's kind of nasty. It doesn't smell good. It can mess with your respiratory breathing or whatever, cause you to cough and stuff. But it's also killing some marine life. So we're kind of staying out of it right now. We do have some dead fish floating down in our canal, so we're just taking a break, let it clear up a little bit. If anything, we'll go on the East Coast and fish some if we need to, if we want to.
Try to stay organized and somewhat linear about how they do this, or we'll just be squirrel everywhere. Because I can talk about it all, and I can talk about it for hours, and all of it has its own little details. Like I said, we're gonna go pretty much the basics, but why. First, I'm gonna talk about just the rods, just the fishing rods, and I don't have any bites, so here we go. So the fishing rod is just this piece.
Hang on, official.
No reel.
Sarah.
All right. Whoop. Each one of them is different. And they can be just a little different, or they can have worlds of difference in them. When you look at these, look how tall this one is. All right, this is an ultralight rod. I use this for trout a lot. I use it for small fish, and I use it for having fun with things like bass. Now, it's not geared to haul in big bass, but I've caught 8-pounders with this little setup. So, when you look at the rod, the first thing you want to do is read it. All right, this is a Bill Dance. That just means it's a special edition. It was. I got it used. It's a Select made by, the brand name is Quantum. It's actually Zebco's, part of Zebco's brand. Now, it'll give you some kind of model number. This is a 5-foot, one piece. I know a lot of this is missing, but I'm letting you know. So it says 5 foot 0 inches, so it's 5 feet tall. It's a one-piece rod, which means it's one solid piece. It doesn't come apart. The line weight, and this is the part you need to look for. Line weight, 2 to 6 pounds. Okay, now line weight is how heavy a line, how much tensile strength it has before it breaks. So this says anywhere from 2 pounds to 6 pounds. That you're fishing for small fish. Now, it also gives you, sometimes it'll give you a lure weight, 1/64 of an ounce to 1/8 of an ounce. Let me show you what an 1/8 of an ounce weight looks like. I just had one. Oh, it's up here. Look, this little bitty weight here, compared to my hand, that's a 1/8 ounce jig head. So that would be matched really well with this rod. All right, what else we got on here? I think there's just one more thing. Now, the action. There's 2 more things that come in here. Action, all right? Ultralight. Now, that's the overall action of the whole rod, how strong it is. The next thing, a lot of times, and I'll show you on the next one we pick up, it's going to say power. But it'll just say power. And the power is the action is the tip. The power is how strong the body of this is. When you go ultralight, they don't give you any difference in there. You may get a different tip, a lighter tip, but usually they're, see how much that bounces? I don't know if you can catch that. It is really flexible.
They didn't realize that rods showed the breaking point.
Well, it's not the breaking point of the rod. It's the break. What just happened here? Okay. It's the breaking point of what the line that you should be on there is. You know, everything you do in fishing is trying to match the stuff correctly. It helps you. It's easier to cast. It's easier to maintain. It's easier to land a fish. It's easier to get your bait to do what you want it to do. All right, so that's one rod. That's the smallest one I have in here. Now, this is for us inshore fishing, this is a medium setup for me. All right, I gotta put my glass back on to read these little things. So, this is a Stellar Light. So this is a Star Fishing Tackle Company. They're out of North Carolina. Now, this is its serial model number. It's 7 foot, no inches. So it's 7 foot tall. It'll handle weight line from 8 pounds to 17 pounds. The best. That's what it's recommended for. It will take baits or lures or weights from 1/4 to 3/4 of an ounce. All right. And they'll also tell you what it's made of too. Different things. So what I want to show in difference is where's a 3/4 ounce lure? All right. Now, you saw how little, let me grab this 1/8 ounce weight. This is an 1/8 ounce weight and a 3/4 ounce weight. Just the weight part. So, and look at the rod comparatively. We'll fish this on this ultralight. We'll fish this. That's like the max that I want to throw with that. That's starting to get pretty heavy. So, just showing you that difference of how we're lining up our rod with a small reel, with light line, with light tackle. Now you can go out and catch light fish. Now, can I catch bigger fish? Yes, if you get lucky, or if you really know how to fight the fish and you get lucky. These, a little bigger, a little heavier. And the same thing will be true with all the different lures when we get to those too. All right, now, so all we're doing is showing you, all right, small, medium, heavy, and this is the biggest setup I got. This is a 6500 with a heavy duty rod, and let's just read this so you can see it. All right, so this is a Penn Spin Fisher 4. It's 7 foot, fast action, which means it's really stiff. All right, and it'll take 15 to 30 pound line, recommended, and it'll take braided line of 20 to 50 pounds. Now, it's not giving you lure weight because you're not going to do anything light with this. You're not going to throw that 1/8 ounce. But we're just trying to show you the differences in the classes. Now I'm going to go over what really is entailed in this rod. All the pieces. There's different parts to this. So this is the butt end. This is the bottom. All right. Now this is your hand grip. And normally I fish like this. It gives me a lot of strength on the reel, and I feel very well. If there's a bite, I feel it down in here better. This is your butt. This is your reel handle or your reel seat. Your reel sits right in there. I'm going to show you how this works. Let me get this off here. All right. On this one, it twists and the front comes forward. See the threads right there? It's threaded inside there, and that's what holds the reel in. So you got the butt, you got the reel seat. When you turn it over, that's also your handle. Now, this is to hook your bait, your hook in. You put your hook in here when you're done fishing, so it's not flying around. This is your blank. Not these. This is the blank. And then these are your guides or your eyelets. Now, all of these pieces come in different things, all right? And they're made different ways. For saltwater fishing, we like to get long handles, so when we're fighting a fish, a heavy fish, we can put that rod up here, crank and reel, crank and reel. So you can't do that with these, right? I'm fishing for smaller fish. I don't need all that. So the longer, you see long butts on them, that means they're probably ocean rods or long distance casting rods. This reel seat unscrews at the back. See the threads? See this part? Just set up differently. This is plastic. This wasn't the most expensive rod that I've ever bought. It's made of plastic. Sometimes they're made a little better when they have a little bit of reinforcement with some metal, steel. If you're getting salt water, you want to make sure everything is stainless steel. That's one thing good. These tips, now you can see all of these ones have thread around them. If you see this design, that's the...
But we lost connection.
Well, it happens.
The internet's been messing up.
Yeah, might want to shut off the...
Let me see if I'm getting it. Sorry, you guys. We just totally lost you. No, stay. No. Sorry, you guys. Is a solid rod better than a snap-in? We lost connection. I think our internet's messing up.
I thought I had it. I wanted to show a two-piece rod. I don't know if I have one. I thought I brought one out, but no. For me, I have several two-piece rods. That's what they call them, or snap-together rods. A two-piece rod, I have several that I think are pretty good, especially for bait fishing, where they don't have to be quite as sensitive. That's the part that I lose in those types of rods. And what it is, all it is, maybe I'll run out and grab one here in a minute. Let's say at this point, this piece pulls away from this piece, so it's only this big now. You can store it easier. I know when I was young, when I turned 16, I was never without a fishing rod in my truck. I always had a fishing rod in my gun rack in the back of my truck, and a little tackle box like that. I could go fishing anytime, anywhere I stopped. So they have advantages. I don't mind them. Now, if I was finesse fishing for bass, where it was light bites and I needed to feel it, I probably wouldn't use a two-piece rod. It takes away some of that finesse, some of that feeling. So, the next thing I want to talk about was we fish saltwater most of the time now. So there's a big difference in a freshwater rod like this sometimes and a 100% saltwater rod like this. Some of those differences are the reel seating. This one has this is plastic in here. This is stainless steel wrapped around that plastic, and it's not gonna deteriorate. It's not gonna get eaten up by salt water. If you look at these guides, there's no ceramic in here. This is stainless steel inside of aluminum. These guides, like that one there. Now, these are stainless steel. They just happen to be what the company makes with. But this is ceramic inside here. One thing you always want to be careful of, and I'll show you a prime example. See this weight? If you reel up a fish or you're reeling up your bait and it comes up and hits your tip, if it's ceramic, it'll break easily. It'll destroy the inside of that because ceramic is kind of like glass, porcelain. It'll break. The other thing is, if they're just like this, it will bend that thing and snap your tip if you keep reeling. So be careful. Pay attention to reeling up your baits. Don't reel your baits right up to the eyelets. It's hard on them and it's really hard on the tips. That's probably how I've broken most of mine. I wasn't seeing, or I was fishing in the dark, or I'm really cranking on the fish and didn't know it was that close, and bam, that weight comes up and either breaks the actual eyelet or it breaks the actual tip off of it. So these are two different ones. This is just one of our light bait rods that we use. I'm going to take the hook off here, let it hang down, and now you see this where it's got this but there's no eyelet there, right? I grab right here so I can get a grip. I just twist and it sticks in about that far. Here, let me show you. So it sticks in there that far. Now, I've never had a problem with this, but I've seen plenty of these broken. Usually, if you get a fish too big on for them, that's the weak point.
Yeah. That's
the weak point of the rod or reel.
You're good. You can ask questions. It's
now, they make them in all sizes, and they make them, that was actually a freshwater one that we have. This is one of my big, I like to shark fish with this.
Oh, yeah.
It's an 8-foot, medium heavy, and it's a 10 to 25 pound weight class. It's much bigger And now this one's the opposite of the other one. The other one, the bottom went in the top. This one, the top goes in the bottom. Now, it's hard to carry around an 8-foot rod and not break it. It's much easier to carry around a 4.5-foot piece. But that's all there is to it. One drawback they have is if you're casting a lot, like that one, we cast a lot, this will start to get loose. You'll see your eyelets aren't lined up. You know, this one's on the bottom and that one's up there. So you got to watch that. And they can work their way loose if you're doing a lot of action with them. So I like them though. I just throw a rubber band, well, usually one of your hair chumpies around it. And it's nice because now it's not 8 feet long. So they do have their place, that's for sure. Now, these are all spinning rods. They work with spinning reels. That's a whole different kind of setup than a... Oh, these are long.
Yeah, I got you. What's the best one here for bass fishing? We bass fish with almost...
For bass fishing, what I have here...
what did I catch my 5-pounder on? Isn't it here?
Nope.
This one. No? That's not it?
Oh, this reel, but not that rod. You had a better rod. You had one of the blue rods, basalt rod. This is, like, if I was going bass fishing, I had to pick one of these off the table, this would be it. This is a 3 or 4. I think it's a 3,000.
I thought it was a 3,500.
I don't know. Oh, so this is a 4,000 size. And again, we're going to get into the reels, but that matches well with that rod. It's medium heavy. It's a fast tip. It's got a lot of power, but it's very sensitive and it's very light. So all those things come together.
Tarpon.
I'll catch tarpon on it, but if I'm going for tarpon, I'm taking this. Maybe this. Probably both of them.
Probably this big one.
Yeah. So when we're talking about just the rods, okay, so this sits in here like this. All right. And you notice on this now, this is a bait casting rod. This is more for bass fishing, running heavier lures, things like that. Now, I can also run light stuff because this is a super light rod. It is super sensitive, and this is a 3.5-inch little rubber minnow with a 1/4 ounce weight on it. I've also thrown lures this big on this same setup, so it's pretty versatile. But this rod is set up for a bait caster. You see this hook? When we grab a spinning rod, we hold it like this. Either 1 finger, 2 fingers, you can put all your fingers, but your hand is right here by the reel. And that's what gives you the ability to hold on to it. With these rods, imagine they're just blank, and I'd hold on like this. Well, I don't have nearly as control, but when I put my finger in that trigger, now I've really got a hold of this rod and reel. So, whose setup is this? Where did this... I don't even know whose reel this is.
What? You serious?
This isn't mine. No. This is a right-handed reel. I'm left-handed. I don't know. I'll bet...
What?
Who did we have using this? Because it's... Braxton.
That's not Braxton.
Braxton. That must have been his reel that he wanted to use.
Oh,
because
okay.
this is his bait.
I was gonna
Sorry,
say
squirrel.
That's weird that we have somebody else.
I'm looking at a reel that's definitely not mine. But the young man that hangs out with Lily all the time, friends of the family, he had this reel and he wanted to try it, but he didn't have a rod. So I let him go fishing out here with this setup, and he just left it on here. But with the bait casting rods, they can be very different. One thing you can get away with is these kind of guides or eyes. You see how small they are? And when you look at all of them, they're pretty big. I'm going to flip it around so you can see the tip end. Look how small they are.
Good God.
Now that's compared to your hand. They're very small.
Jeez, yeah.
What it does, though, is keep all this in line smoother because it's all coming straight down. All right? So you can get away with these little guides because this is just spinning off here this direction. When you have these rods and reels, spinning reels, I'm going to try to let y'all see how the line moves. Now the line goes the whole way around this way. You see it already just caught that. So when you cast, nope, let it there. It's all right. You need a bigger eyelet here because it's spinning out this way, taking line, but it's going this way. This reel, it's just coming straight off. So when you have a spinning reel, you have big eyelets back here. That way it's moving through there and it's not getting hung up. The more the line touches something, the less it goes.
I'm even learning some stuff.
Right?
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay.
It's getting hot in here too. All right, anything, I was saying the different construction of different rods. All right, this is cork. These two are cork handles. And cork is nice, it's very classic, it's old school, but it is light. It is way lighter than some, this is like a rubber foam. You can see how far I can push down in it. That's like a rubber foam. I can push a little bit, but that's it. So you've got cork handles, you've got rubber handles, you've got custom grips that you can put on. Lew's came out with something like this years ago. This is actually and I would like to give a shout out to these guys because I love their product. S&H Outcast in Missouri. It's a tackle shop out there, and they make some killer stuff. This rod's 8 foot long, and it is super, super light. And it's got enough power to horse up a 20-pound striper. It's really neat. I love this thing. Just to show you the difference between this is made for freshwater and this is a saltwater bait casting setup. Now, you see how much bigger the handle is, see how much bigger the reel is comparatively, and you see how much bigger the handle setup is and the seating, the reel seat on this. Now, also look at this thickness. Now, this one's made for heavier fish out in salt water. It's also an 8 foot rod, but this is not that. I cast lures all day. I'll just cast lures. This, I'm going to put a big bait on and troll with it behind the boat, or I'm going to drop straight down the boat. I'm not really casting with this, but the 8 foot part gives us a lot of tip to fight the fish. This is what fights the fish, this bend. So the more you try to stand the pull up, the harder they can just pull on the tip. Sometimes you got to give them a little bit of angle. But these are extremely good tips, and it's got a lot of backbone. All the strength comes from here, all the sensitivity and the give is up here.
Now, for catfish, which rod is best? This one.
Yep.
Okay.
This would be number 1. Depending on the size of catch you're actually after.
Yeah, there's several different
If
ways.
you're talking, you're in 20 to 50 pound catfish, these two. This will do the low end, 20 to probably 40. You get anything over that, I'm probably working with them just because of bigger rod size.
Yeah. Now, isn't bait casting kind of hard? It unspools.
So we had someone come in earlier and say, what do you think about these anti-backlash reels? They're talking about bait casting reels, this type of reel. And so when you engage this and throw it, now watch what that, now you see how much that moved? That was just the pressure of the line. But this starts going, and I hope I don't do a big one, but I'm going to show you. Now,
yeah.
So the line starts coming out, but this spool starts going faster than what the weight of your line is. And it'll cause what just happened there. You see how that line looped over, and it just gets bigger and bigger. The harder you throw, the more of that you can get to happen.
Yeah.
So, but they make reels. Even this reel, though, has a brake on it. All right, this is a brake. That's going to put tension on this. So you got to connect, just like I've been saying the whole time, match your lure to your system, and then you adjust this brake back and forth. Normally, the way you do that, I don't know if I can do it with this little light bait or not, and I don't have a lot of room, but normally the way you do that is you hold your bait up, and you click your button and let it fall. Now, when it fell, that was the only loop. That was all the more that kept going. Now, I'm going to show if I loosen it up.
Hey, K-Truth.
All right. I loosened it up, and I'm gonna let you see it. I have my hand in the way. Let me do it again.
So
What's okay?
Not so anti-backlash.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it's a break. This isn't an anti-backlash reel, but they make them. They just have 2 braking systems on them. All right, so now all I'm gonna do is let the lure fall to the ground, and you watch how this keeps spinning. See that?
Yeah.
And the more that I back that off, less brake, the more it will do that. Now, I'm going to tighten it up to where it doesn't move. All right, and this is how you learn to adjust them. All right, so I got nothing on there. I'm just going to let it fall. Now, look. It's not falling, so I need to loosen up. Now, see it falling? Now, it's got some heavy line on here. I'm going to loosen it just a hair more. And now when the bait falls, it hit the floor and it hardly had any backlash.
So you got to adjust it.
So you have to learn how to do these. Now.
Cake True said my son gets a bird nest every time he casts. Oh, gosh.
Get him out in the yard with a bucket and just a rubber weight. Let him practice.
Practice, yeah.
That's all. That's
Practice
all
adjusting
this is.
that. What are we adjusting again? This?
This is the brake. This, oh, he broke it. This is your drag. So on the spinning reels, and we were still on rods, by the way. This is your drag on a spinning reel. How much drag or how much pressure the fish can take on your line, and this is the drag on here. These don't have any kind of anti-brake because they don't backlash like that, unless you throw into the wind with braided line.
This is cool. John Waters has learned a lot too. He sound like me. Drag adjustment never considered. Thanks.
Well, I mean, sometimes people fish with stuff and it just worked good until they change a little bit different. Maybe they have a heavier weight and it was set up for a lighter weight. All right, I'm going to move into the reels now. And I'm going to use this little... you're going to need to parts of the reel. Your reel, this is where you're going to seat the reel. All right, this is your body, and it's going to have 2 pieces, normally 2 pieces that are covers right here, one on each side, so you can get to the inner workings of the gear. This is your handle. This what do they call this nut bolt? Oh, it's not your tensioner. This is holding. In most spinning reels, this is a bolt going through to hold this on here. You hold your bail and you turn it the opposite way that it normally goes. Now, that's threaded. And this little nut bolt. Oh, okay, so this one's a nut, so it's internal. That stays in there. On most of them, this whole thing pops out. Now, this is made this way because it's sealed better. It's actually got little O-rings in there that don't let water and dirt get in it. The ones that are, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to take one apart that's got a handle that the whole screw pulls out. They can't seal those nearly as well because that piece has to pull out. This is sealed because it's 2 pieces. I'm going the wrong way. You go the opposite of whichever way the reel turns. The reel turns that way, so I got to go this way to get it on. And now hold this and just tighten it down a little bit. There's your handle. This is your drag knob. Now, the drag knob comes off. Look at that, everybody. And then your spool comes off. Now, one thing that I'll bet somebody doesn't know right now is what that is. Can you zoom in on that? Somebody doesn't know that that's in case you don't have a lure.
I didn't know till recently.
And this one it's hard, it's really small. You just wrap your line around it.
Yeah, right.
This one's really small. All right, but I had it. And the line's super small. Wraps around it, and it holds your line there so it's not flying out in the wind. when you don't have a bait on there or a hook. All right, now I'm not taking this down any further, but you got your bale wire. This is your roller. That little piece actually moves. The biggest thing that probably breaks in these one of two things. Either this. Now, you see I can't reel backwards. That's your anti-stop. Now, I flip it that way and look, I can go both ways. A lot of people never even know what that is or use that. I use it when I'm doing anything bass fishing or trout fishing, light stuff. And yes, I've caught some heavy bass, but I like to keep it like that because now I can use this too a little bit if I'm fighting a fish and they start taking a little bit of drag too fast. I can start back winding too and let them have a little bit of line. I just have more control, and probably the biggest reason I do that is when I get ready to cast, I want the lure or my bait a certain distance from my tip so I can get maximum cast. And every time I reel up, it's not the same. So what I do, this will work. So you see what I just did? I do that all the time. So I just reeled in my line, but I need a little bit more line out. So I just pull a little bit more line out. And I use that all the time that way so that I can make good casts. I don't have a lure on here, I can't really. So if I just reeled in and I reeled up to there, well, that's not a good cast for me. My weight's too close to my tip. So I just, all right, now it's where I want it, and that helps me a lot. Saves a ton of time. It doesn't sound like much, but you cast 1,000 times in a day and you'll start to know.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go get the grandbaby. All right, let's see if it rebooted. All right, can anybody see us or hear us?
Sorry, every once in a while we get bad service and we had storms today, so.
Still waiting on somebody to say something. I switched off the internet and then I'm back, or turned it back on and see what it does. Hey Tammy, can you see us or hear us? I might have to go live again.
And you have no way to know. Till the last comment.
Okay, thank you, Undercover. We were like, wow, they really cannot see us. Thank you. Wishing I was fishing. Love your name, buddy. Thank you for that gift. All right, you can see and hear. Thank you. Well, we didn't want to continue if no one was hearing us. All right, perfect.
All right.
Let me go check
sorry
on
for the lost signal and stuff. There's only one thing that I forgot about with the reels, and I want to let y'all know how to see what sizes are. They do have a number scale. It's not always perfect, but if you look on your reel, you'll see a 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or 1,500, 2,500, 35. So this is a 2,000 size reel, very small, ultra. They do make a 1,000. So look at that compared to that's a 2,000 fits in your hand. Now we'll jump up to 4,000 compared to my hand. This is actually a 3,500. So you see, the bigger the number is, the bigger they get. There are companies that do it a little different. This may be a 20 series. A 1,000 is a 10 series is a 1,000. This would be a 40. This would be a 65. All right, so all you got to do is
6,500.
Yep. So
okay.
just in your head, take it from 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 1,000 is a big marlin ocean reel. But that'll give you an idea. So when you look at those numbers, and President does a little different. They have a series number, like this is a 6935. They have different, so all it is, everything in this series, which is a 69 series, they can have a 69, 20, 25, 30, 45, 50, all those in that range. It's just a series number that they put on theirs.
Wishing I was fishing said I got a Battle 3 5,000 combo and Fierce 3 3,000 combo here recently. Now, if I could get out the MT too, Coast, I'd be good.
Yeah, this
Heck
is a.
yeah.
This is the Spin Fisher. That's the Pursuit. I have some Battle 3s, and this is a BG. So they're all pretty close, but they all work very differently for different situations. I don't know if anybody got to see this, so I'm going to put this on. The only big difference in a lot of these spinning reels is, yes, construction, how they're made, quality, but as far as the way they work, they're all pretty much the same except for ones like this. So you see, I'm going to tighten the drag down till I can't pull it. All right, see how tight it is? It's pretty tight. So we want to go out and we want to bait fish. That's what we're set up for. We got a weight and a hook. All we're going to do is put something on there and drop it down to the bottom, especially live bait. So here we go. Drop it down to the bottom. Now we're sitting there waiting for something to eat it, and we put this on. This is called a bait clicker. Now when that comes on, if the fish comes and bites my bait, see how, look, I'm using 2 fingers to pull that. Now, when the fish bites, this gives it a chance to eat it and run with it. You know, especially some of these bigger fish, like tarpon and stuff like that, they need to get the bait in there. Now, all you need to do is start reeling. See that pop up? I'm going to do it again. Now, when this is engaged, look, you could pull it in the wind. As soon as that clicks, now I have my full strength of bait, back, my full strength of my drag again. And you can adjust this, how easy or how loose you want it to come out, depending on the type of fish.
Yeah, wishing I was fishing, I say the same thing. Like, what? I didn't even know
so
that part.
These are called bait runners. Penn makes a couple. Shimano makes a couple. I have an old Shimano plastic one that I used to put on that 8-foot this big old 8-foot 2-piece rod, and this is what I fished for gar and sharks in Georgia. Not big sharks, under 200 pounders.
I've heard the battle rods aren't too great though. Only heard good about the reels though.
The only Penn rods I have are these 2 that came with the combos, and this one another guy bought, and he took it to a pawn shop, didn't want it, wasn't fishing enough, and I got a super good deal on it, so I bought it. There was actually another rod that came, this rod and a different Stratic, and we got both of them for $300.
Oh yeah, that was down in Key West.
Less than $290 or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
When you're around pawn shops, go in and look at their fishing gear and know the price, or look up the prices.
Hey, Fishman, what are you saying there? Are you saying what's the best bait, or I'm not sure.
Bait caster.
Let me know what you're saying.
All right, I'm gonna move on when you see it. I'm gonna go into, so we did. You picked a rod based on what kind of fishing you're gonna do. You put a reel on that based on what kind of rod you got and what type of fishing. You put line on there based on those 2 things and what type of fishing. And then I did start telling them about weights. So now,
what's up, guys?
Depending on where you're fishing, if you're using some kind of bait, you need a weight. So you judge accordingly. So if I was going to start fishing, this would be for the little ultralight. I could probably get away with that if there's faster moving water, like in streams. But if it's too fast of water and I had to move up to this, I probably couldn't fish with that. It's too small. It's going to bend the rod just having the weight on it. You know, you're not going to feel it very well. So all of it goes together. the rod, the reel, the line, the weights, all dependent on your condition. If I'm fishing in a lake that there's no moving water and I can get away with this, awesome. If I'm in a stream and I can get away with this, you know, I can do that. But now if it's too fast, I got to go up to something heavier, so now I got to switch rods and reels to move up to something heavier. Same thing depending on the fish. Next thing I want to get into is lures. I know a lot of people, if you're artificial fisherman, if you like lures and hard baits or soft baits, this is where everybody gets caught. Everybody thinks it's cool and looks good and they want to buy all of them. As you can see, that's not me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spend all day on each particular. I'm going by type. So I want to show you some of the different types. And we'll start with soft plastics. So, soft plastic minnow. This is a swim bait. Oh, we got to plug in some power here. I'll let you do that.
Yes, that's a dime. Hang on, guys. I need a little room.
All right.
Now you got it. Just don't let it fall off.
Oh.
Do the best you can with the wires.
I got you. Moving all over the place. Okay, so soft plastics. What I mean by soft plastics is this rubberized material, very flexible, and sometimes you have to put a hook in them, sometimes they have a hook. Sometimes you have to have a weight, sometimes you don't need it. And what I mean by this is, so if we want to use this, we got to have some kind of hook. You see that? That's a jig on this is a grub. This is a swim bait. Technically, they're both kind of swim baits because they have a tail that will swim in the water. These jig heads, again, base them by weight and the size of lure and the size of fish you're going after. Soft plastic or rubber baits come in a ton of variety. These are just grub tails, like this thing. And then you have minnow type baits, every color, size, shape. But y'all notice that at the bottom or the back, that tail moves around. They come in every color, every shape. They come in a little bit different plastics. I'm going to show you something that I really like in certain situations. All right, I have a rubber minnow. Well, it stretches that far and it's starting to break. All right, I'm actually going to show you the tear. See that? It started tearing when I pulled on it. But this one is made of a different plastic. Is that crazy? Look how far, and it is not going to break. Like I could walk 6 feet and it probably will break then. So, Z-Man makes this stuff called Elaztech. And what it does is keeps your bait from getting tore up as you fish. You catch one fish and it gets tore up, well, now you need another one. You might as well be using live bait, you know. But that plastic works really well. There's another company out there that's got something like this too. I can't remember the name of it. You've got crawdads, crabs, crayfish, fish that have grub tails, but they look like a fish on them. Everything out there. Skinny, you can get every size. Look how little these are. Little glass minnows. And then you can go all the way up to stuff like this. That is a big old, whoops. That is a big old swim bait. Now, like I said, you got to have something to get a hook in them. So something like this guy, I would use this. And what you do, I'm going to use a different bait just so I don't mess it up. What you're doing is trying to get this hook to sit in here so that this will stay flat and the tail will move. So we start, put the hook in the front of the bait, dead center, and I push it in just till that turn starts. And then I pull the hook out the bottom, push this all down, all the way down, and go over these little little things, and then I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to come, sorry, I got it turned around now so I can get the hook up through the top of the body. And now I've got a swim bait that has a nice jig in it and it's exposed. Now I can push that up, make it nice and tight. You want them as straight as possible so they look natural. So there's rubber baits, rubber minnows, rubber crawdads, little crabs, and they come in every size, every shape, color, everything. Next, we're moving on to some hard baits. Now, these hard baits, the reason I say that, these are hard plastic. They're still plastic, but they're hard plastic. This is a lipless crankbait. When you look at it, this is what makes it dive down in the water. You tie your line, and it's got a bunch of rattles. This is called a rattle trap. We use that. You can troll with that. You can cast it and retrieve it. All three of these are lipless crankbaits. If you can see, here's a saltwater one that looks like a pinfish. What a great representation of a pinfish. And again, you hear all them rattles when it's underwater. That's an easier way for fish to track them down. All right, so you got lipless crankbaits. That's these three guys right here. They don't have a bill on them, and what I mean by lip, see that? So here's a different bait, and it has a lip on the front of it. That's where you tie your line, and this makes the lure dive down in the water. As you pull, it dives down in the water. So this is a deep diving one. It's got a big bill on it, a big lip. Here's a shallow diving one. See how different the lips are? And then profiles are pretty close, but that lip in the front is very different. So this is a shallow water one. It's very small. It dives down. It's got a bigger angle. And here's a third one. A little bit different. Look, it's got more of a coffin box style to it. But again, it's almost along the lines of this. The sharpness and the size of this lip makes the difference on how deep it dives down into the water. Shallow divers, normally 1 to 3, maybe 4 foot, depending on size. The deeper diver ones can go, I see lures out there now that can go 25 feet deep. That is crazy. But they're big lures and they have a giant lip on them. All right, so we got lipless crankbaits. We got diving, but this is shallow, small, diving. The lip is small. And then you get deeper diving plugs with that bigger lip. You can see how big that lip is there. This will go deeper in the water than the other two. Then we got, here's an even bigger one. Let me show it. This will show up really well. So this is a metal one. You can see it really well, but look how far and how fat that is. This will dive down in the water further. The next hard bait, and probably one of my favorites, is top water. These are all top water baits. So this is a pencil popper. You can kind of tell why. It's pencil shaped, and it's got a curved lip on the front. You see that? And it rides on top. When you pull it, water splashes up from pulling it. All right, so it makes a lot of commotion on the water. Now that's a pencil popper. Here's another popper, but as you can see, much fatter, big giant head on it to push a lot of water. So when this comes through the water, it is going to scare a lot of fish. But the fish that are going to eat this are looking for something making a lot of noise, a lot of commotion. Fish but feeding on other fish. And this is a walking style. This is a Hedon Super Spook, and you can see there's no lip. The eyelet is tied right onto the front of it, and when you pull it, it does something called walk the dog. You twitch it, twitch it, twitch it, twitch it, just by you pulling on your rod tip a little bit, pow, 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 it goes side, 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 and it does also have a rattle in it. These are some of my favorites because you can fish them in a lot of places and they create big strikes from big fish. I have two other top waters I want to talk about. One is blade baits. So if you look at the back of this, you see that sticking out right there? It spins around when you pull it in the water. So it stays on top, you pull it, and that little blade right there spins around. And it creates commotion on top of the water. Now, all these look like some type of minnow, bait fish. Alright, so those are blade baits. There can be blades on the front, on the back, on both parts. And then they also have a blade bait called ploppers. They have an extended part that's all blade, and they make a big chop on the water. Alright, the last one are soft-bodied top water. Alright, so there's a mullet little dude, and check this out. I can squeeze him down. It's hollow in there. It has a hook that sticks up out of it, but when you let it, when it's natural, it pretty much will not catch a lot of stuff because it comes right over top of it. Its eyes up front. Now look, I can bend this around. Well, how's that together? There's a piece of wire that goes from there down to the hooks and a little bit of weight right there, and that's the setup. And what's good about these is they're very weedless. I can throw these up around mangrove trees, and you would, when the fish bites it, it pushes down and they get caught on that part when they engulf it. These are soft plastic, hollow bodied top water baits, and they're very realistic too. Definitely work. Give me one more. We're on the last one for top waters. Now, this is relatively new to me. I saw a TikTok of a Florida fisherman that does a lot of inshore fishing, and he was saying, we got these ice cream, what do they call them? Ice cream cones, ice cream lures. So these are made by GG, and they're called ice cream lures. Now, they are topwater lures, or meant to be used as topwater lures, but they actually will sink. So you throw it out, once you start pulling on it, because of this shape, it's four-sided, but it's like a four-sided cone or pyramid at the top, and then the rest of the body just comes down and has a little bit rounded at the bottom, single hook tied on with heavy braided line. But you pull this thing and it's really erratic. But if you stop it, it falls and starts sinking. And you pull it and it's erratic again. You have to run it kind of fast. It is not one that will float out there, but it's definitely a neat lure. And I think it works offshore probably better than a lot of lures because it doesn't have a lot of drag on it. And you can just sit there and jerk the top water stuff all day with these. So these were called ice creams. Neat stuff. All right. Now, I'm going to make sure we're still live here. All right. I am going to answer some questions, but since I'm by myself right now, I'm going to get through this last part with the lures, and then we'll do a Q&A. Thank you all for joining in. Appreciate it. All right. Some other lures that we use. Obviously, you know, these are just different top waters, different hard baits, little diving plugs. But some other hard lures are jigs. Now, in the saltwater world, jigs can be this, you know, this type of thing, a bucktail. This is called a crazy jig. Here's a jig I have set up for cobia. But also, these are called jigs. Now, where I come from, we would call them spoons or slabs, but they're called jigs in the saltwater, and they come in every shape, size, color. Yep. That one's like 5 inches long, weighs like 3 ounces. And then here's some inshore ones that we use for trout, ladyfish, a lot of stuff we eat them. These are even smaller. We get, maybe some mangrove snapper, trout, stuff like that. And they're actually spoons, but in the saltwater world, they're jigs. Also, you can take, this is a jig, but it's just a jig head. So that's all there is. Just, I know it's hard to see here, some of these. There's just a lead head at the front and a hook in the back. The lead head has the eyelet, and you put those through your rubber and plastic baits to move them along. All right, what was the other thing? So the other couple lures we have are a little bit different. So this is a trolling squid. All right, so we throw this out behind the boat and troll at about 5 to 8 miles per hour, and this bubbles because it catches stuff in that little head right there, and it looks like an actual squid. Very neat. One of the best trolling things down here. Now, I can't see because I'm on the other side here, but these are called Sabiki Rigs. Now, you see how small these little baits are? I mean, this is my finger. These are little tiny baits. All right? And I'm going to show you the setup of how that works. Let me get you over here. I can stand up. So they come in that package to keep them from getting all over the place. These are what we use to catch live bait in deeper water, and probably 7 feet or deeper. So what it is ouch, it's sharp. That's what it is. It just caught me. So let me let some line out. Show you what I got. So we got a little swivel. All right. Now you tie that to your main line, and then down from it is one little lure, and they come in little different sizes. They just look like a little fly. In the water, I think they see them as maybe little shrimp. So there's 2. There's the 3rd one. There's the 4th one. The 5th one. 6th one. Down. Oh, there's 7 on this one. And then you got to add weight to get it to the bottom. This was just some split shots. We actually found this one. It was rigged just like this. And then there's another swivel at the bottom. The swivel at the bottom is to be able to put it away, to hook it back on your rod when you're not fishing with it. Those are called Sabiki Rigs. And all we do is drop them over the side of the boat or wherever we're fishing. You drop it down to the bottom, or if you know how deep the fish are, you drop it down to that depth, let it sit there a minute, drag it up, let it fall, drag it up, let it fall. And you can catch up to 7 baits at a time.
You actually target ladyfish? I thought most people hated them.
Most people do, but I'm definitely not most people. Watch the hooks. We target them sometimes for bait. We don't really target ladyfish unless we're getting them for bait.
They're fun.
Now,
they're fun too.
If they're out there, I don't care. We'll if they're what's biting, we'll fish for them. All right. Now with that, like I said, that's going into live bait. And what I'd like to show you next, you want a camera or not?
Gotcha.
All right, so we started talking about live bait. That's one way to get it.
I'm going to flip it.
We also cast net. We have bait traps. And something that fills in when we don't have any of that are fish bites. Now, I thought this was the craziest thing in the world when I heard about it. Couldn't believe it when I saw a video of people catching fish on it.
Oh,
but these do work for certain things. Now, this is like your old, what do they call that? Roll-ups, fruit roll-ups. Doesn't smell like one though. This smells like dead squid. Well, that's the scent and flavor that is in these. So these are neat. You have this almost fruit roll-up stuff on the outside. I'm gonna see if I can tear a piece. Almost fruit roll-up.
I'll cut it with that
stuff. But what they do is, can you see that little mesh netting? You see it? Want to focus? That little mesh netting is in the middle of that. So every time you put out a shrimp and you put it on one of these, guess what? Fish comes up and goes, oh, there's a hook. Pulls it off. Pulls it off. Pulls it off. But these, they come up and try to pull it off, and it's stuck on there because of that mesh netting that's in the middle of it.
So you can actually put it on with your piece of shrimp.
You can't. Yeah.
And oh yeah, that's what I used to do.
We
and
use
keep
it
to,
use it to tip jigs and stuff like that, so it has some scent in it. When they do grab it, they tend to hold on to it. So these things actually work too. It's not live bait, but it's right there. Using little Sabiki rigs to get live bait. We use a cast net to get live bait. We throw this over top when we see fish out there, or even blind cast. We throw it out, it opens up and expands. You pull it back up, and you've got bait. And we have a bait pin, or bait trap. A bait trap is a little chicken coop, chicken wire coop. It's got a funnel going one way down to whatever size of, however small or how big you want your bait. You put a little bit of bait inside there, the fish swim inside, and they're trapped. You pull it up out of the water, and you got some bait.
They said, don't you use cast nets for snakes?
I wasn't using it that way.
But it did happen.
But things happen like that. That's
got
for sure.
stuck in there. But that is our little 4-foot. That's the one that has the hole in it now.
That's the one the snake was in.
Because we had to cut the snake out. But
that's the snake net.
We use a 7-foot mostly. But fishermen, what is the best bait? Okay, so that depends on whatever you're fishing for. Now, I think are you more of the bass fishing, because that's what we used to do, and
best
top
bait
water.
For what?
Yeah, say what fish are you targeting if you're asking that question?
And are you talking about moving water or standing water?
It's so many different things that go into it. Yeah.
It's a living thing. Every time you go, you're adjusting to what is happening now. You know, here with us, we get a tide usually twice a day. So the water was moving that way earlier, now it's moving that way, and it will be moving slow, and then it's moving really fast right before it ends, and it changes again. So there's other questions.
Catfish and bass moving.
Moving. Catfish, probably the best thing, and don't hate me, I'm just answering what I know. If it's legal, I've fished with goldfish before, and it was absolutely unbelievable. They smashed them every time. Goldfish. Now, I've seen a lot of dead bait type stuff for catfish too.
I would think squid.
Chicken liver. You mean our catfish or freshwater catfish? Because it's saying bass too.
Yeah, most likely.
So a lot of people use chicken livers, and they say that's the best thing in the world. And my uncle swore by it for years, and I've caught fish on them. But I just haven't been a big catfish fisherman. I've done it, but I liked other types of fishing. Now, bass, it depends on who, what, when, why, where. How's the sun that day? Are they in the grass? Are they in weeds? Are they hanging off on a ledge? That's all different. Make it a minnow style bait or a crawfish style bait, period. There are 3 colors I live by for bass. Pumpkin green.
Pumpkin green.
Pumpkin green. At any time of the year. If that's the only color you can get, pumpkin green. Either a pearl or silver. And the other one is black. And that's it. I mean, really, if I was going to put my tackle box together for bass, and that's the way my tackle box is for bass. If I pulled it out now, you would see a ton of white and silver lures and green pumpkin.
Yeah, it's
black backs on a lot of stuff.
So now he says why.
Why for those color? Why for those styles? For the bait, it's just and colors. It's just proven. I have been doing it a long time, and it's different everywhere. Lisa and I I took her to her first tournament, and I said, hey, you pick out what you want to use. I'll give you the style. And I said a worm, but we had 20 different colors of worms. And she went and got a pack of watermelon, chartreuse pepper, brightest thing in the sky.
There you go, wishing.
and I thought the conditions were completely wrong for that.
Nope.
But guess what? She caught a 5-pound bass that morning. So the conditions were right for it. Now, were they hitting other things? Yes. Were they hitting hers every cast? No. But the biggest fish of the day that we caught came off of that. So it's not always doing what everybody says. A lot of lures are meant to catch fishermen, not fish.
Mm-hmm. Would you be willing to show how to tie knots that a beginner can use?
Yes, polymer knot.
Yeah.
That if you learn that knot, you will never be sad.
We also have a very well seen, because it's hard to see with his fingers and him trying to show
the light line and the.
But there is one on our page.
Yep.
That gives a beautiful tutorial on how to do a polymer knot. So if you want to go over to our content and look for that knot,
look for polymer knot, and
you'll love it. It'll be easy.
You can tie the polymer knot a little wee bit differently, but it takes away the strength of the knot. So when you watch this one, if you do it just like that and pay attention, the big thing is practice. When it comes to knots, grab some old junk line and sit at home, figure out how to do it the right way once, and then do it for a week.
Practice makes you better.
Yep, every time you get a chance, do that. All right, going into the last parts. Everything but rods, reels, lures, weights, and all this stuff. Things that you should have when you're going to go fishing, or you're probably going to find out you wish you had at some point.
Yes.
A way to cut line, not just monofilament line, but braided line. Monofilament line is really easy to cut with a dull pair of scissors. It'll still cut it. I have an old rusty pair, and beautiful, perfect cut with monofilament. I'm going to try to do that with braid. Look at that. And this is the lightest one we got. Now, number one, you need to keep it taut. Keep it a little bit tight. But this isn't a great pair. I brought it out here just for that reason. One thing cool about J-Braid, when you get it, they send you a brand new pair to cut braid. Now what? I'm not even going to try to keep it taut, but I'm going to see if it'll cut it.
It's hard to cut, yeah, but it didn't.
Now, if I was holding on to it, it would snap right through it. But a good pair of scissors or clippers, whichever one works best for you. I've tried just about everything. These little J-Braid scissors work really well. I don't know if they're stainless steel, so I haven't had a pair on the boat yet. These said they were rust proof.
Not.
Yep, I do have a pair. Holy cow. Okay. Now you see that there's rust starting on them now. Once that rust starts, they're not going to cut like that anymore. These seem to be pretty good. What's that say? Boomerang Tool Company. And they make a couple different ones of these, a couple different sizes, short ones, longer nose. You can store them by pushing in and pushing down. Lift up and they open up. They're very small. You can't cut yourself if it's locked. It's got a little lanyard so you can put it on your side or on your chest and still get to your stuff. And they're pretty sharp. They will work with braided line. Oh, you can't hold on to it. Now this pair is getting kind of old. Oh, see? Oh, they're definitely old now. Oh,
yeah,
in the wrong
spot.
But they all work. They all work, but it's how long will they work? How long will they stay good? And in salt water, it's difficult to keep something looking like that. So, something to clip line. Something to remove hooks. Now, even though these are stainless steel pliers, made for saltwater fishing, guess what happened when they got saltwater? See the rust? They were solid about 4 days ago until I soaked them in PB breaker to get them working again. But some kind of pliers. My favorite ones for saltwater are aluminum. They're only this big, half the size of those, but they're aluminum. They do not rust. I just have it. Who knows? That helps you get the hooks out of fish, maybe fix any problems that you got. Some people like using a de-hooker. Slide this on the line, put it up to the hook, turn it in the fish's mouth, and the fish falls off. Because all you're doing is turning that hook. The line comes down, you got the hook, and now you turn, and it pops the hook, and the weight of the fish just falls off. Always have some kind of towel. Try to have a dry one, and one that you are going to use on fish. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm afraid to handle fish. I don't like handling fish," or whatever. It's not that. I'm trying to save the fish, number one. So I'm trying not to take slime off of it. And that towel doesn't do that like our hands do. We can get the fishing infection. If I don't have a second towel, that'll be my dry towel, and I'll use a pair of fishing gloves to handle my fish. A knife sharpener or a hook sharpener, or one that does both. This is just a little one that I keep. It's got a groove to put the point of the hook in case your hook gets fouled, and it's got a flat side. You can sharpen a knife if you need to. This thing costs $2, I think. $3.99. They went up.
$3.99.
So $4 though. I always have a sharpener on. I don't think you guys ever see me without shades, unless I'm in the house. I buy fairly inexpensive. These are probably one of the cheapest fishing glasses out there. Again, we don't have any affiliation or sponsoring, but I probably own stock in this company now.
Try to keep it over here where it doesn't lose connection.
Renegade fishing glasses. Buy them online. And what's cool is, if you can see it, there's a little magnification right here at the bottom. You see the difference? So, there's a little bifocal right here, and these are 1.5 times power. So these are like just over regular reading glasses. Now they're normal, they're sunglasses. I can see everything around me, but if I need to tie something right in front of me, now I have the magnification up close. So I can still look at you guys and I see normal, but when I'm right here trying to read something or put a little wee line through a little hook, I can see it. And that's why I love these things. They are polarized, and polarization takes the glare off the water. That will help you a lot so you can see what's under the water. You can see obstacles down there. It helps you see which way, the direction of flow that the water's going, and you will pick out so many more fish and so many more bait with polarized glasses. These, I think, cost us $20.40 plus the shipping. And I've had, name an expensive brand that you think is cool. I've had them and I've lost them. That's $100 a pop. I'd rather lose a $20 pair than a $100 pair any day of the week. What else do we want to have? Always have some kind of first aid kit. I've got Band-Aids. I've got tape in there. I've got antibiotic ointment. I've got eye drops. I've got some Vaseline that you can use for chapstick. You can even use it for sun protection. And I have an inhaler because I had friends that had some kids that had asthma and breathing problems, and one time they didn't have it. I got bronchitis one time, so they gave me a prescription for it, and I've kept that prescription the rest of my life so that I could always have these in our first aid kits. And Band-Aids and tape. And this is and super glue or crazy glue, because you can use all that stuff.
I'm back.
One other thing is, especially in saltwater, but even freshwater, if you're out there and you're fishing and you've learned to catch bluegills, and all of a sudden you catch something that isn't a bluegill, you need to know what that fish is to know, well, number one, is it a legal fish? Are you going to keep it? Or plus you want to know what it was, because if you caught one and you like the fish, wouldn't you want to catch another one? So learn your fish, find a guide for the types of fishing that you're doing. This is a Saltwater Fish of Florida. Ooh, said it right. Saltwater Fishes of Florida, and it shows bait fish types of fish. It shows offshore types of fish. And they'll categorize them like mackerel. There's several types of mackerel. Grouper. There's several types of grouper. Grunts. Several types of grunts. Sharks. And these are great guides.
This is what we love about saltwater fishing.
Yeah. You see all those types of fish? We've caught
several
three-quarters of these.
Yeah.
Maybe when we're done, we'll go through and see what we've caught.
Yeah. So what's the safest way to handle a fish if you don't know if it has teeth for unhooking?
I missed it too. Very good. You brought me back. I missed that one item. So if you don't have gloves or a towel, one thing that you might want to invest on, and
Boca grip.
this is more of an expensive one. This is more like a Boca grip. It has a spring. You get the fish up close, get it in his mouth, and it grabs a hold of their lip. It doesn't hurt the fish, and you now can control it. One thing cool about these is, like, if I got the fish now, but I don't have my pliers, what do? I take the fish and put it over the side of the boat and let it stay swimming around in my hand, and I get my pliers. Now I can pull them back up, can do the work, and when I need to release them, never touch the fish if you can get this in its mouth. And the only thing that it almost doesn't work for is mangrove snappers, because they close their mouth and they will not open it, and you can't really pry them open. They're strong, but this is a Boga grip. All right, they make I wish I had lilies. They make them plastic for like $9. They make them half of that size up to like
the one that you, Lily's little one that you used for the snook that.
Yes.
That was 30 pounds,
yeah.
35
now,
pounds.
It still would have held. I just didn't have it up against its lip.
Yeah.
But they make little plastic ones that are more like a pair of pliers. And what it does, it has a hinge right here. Once you go over that hinge, it locks. Yeah. And it won't open until you unlock it like vice grips. So that's a great question. If you want to keep from handling fish, period, safest for the fish and safest for you, some kind of grip that gets in their mouth, and you just close it and it's locked.
Yep. And Mike, it's the Renegade. Let's see, Polarized Sunglasses.
With bifocals.
With the bifocals, if you need them.
Yeah, right? You're right. They do sell them without.
Yeah.
I specifically want those because my vision's not quite as good anymore.
But you
and
can see you tying your knot and stuff a little easier.
All right. Some little items you might want to have that have made my life better. When you're fishing live bait, you always need hooks and you always need weights. You might need bobbers. This is just the type we're using here. It seems to work for our type of water. So, I don't want to carry a whole thing of 1 ounce weights. I don't want to carry, like, if you get these in a bag, there's like 25 in the bag. They add up weight really quick, okay? 16 ounces is a pound. 16 of these is a pound. There's 1.5 pounds right here. So I organize all my little things for live bait. We've got some hooks here. We've got some jigs with hooks. We've got some swivels. I got some beads. On the other side is a little bit different kind of setup. These are all jig heads. These are regular ones, and they're all by weight. And I have super glue. The reason I talk about super glue, 2 reasons. Number one, if you ever cut yourself out there and you don't have something, you can put it back together with super glue for the day. Doesn't feel good when it goes on because it's antiseptic. It kills the stuff anyway.
And your hooks, super glue for your...
And super glue, so when I put a rubber bait on a jig head, if a fish grabs this, it can pull it off there. And once it comes off there, it doesn't want to stay on there. So I put a little dab of glue right where they touch, and then that'll keep that on there, and it'll get bit and bit and bit, but that super glue will stay there. Crazy glue. Any more?
Shark rods.
I don't know. If I was going to shark fish, I would take this rod and put this reel on it, or just use this one, or this one. Now, there's two reasons. These two are longer and they're a little whippier, but I might be catching a 4-foot shark, or I may have a 300-pounder on.
So what kind of rod is that?
It's not the type of rod, it's how it's built.
Okay, yeah.
It's how it's built.
So
this is short and stiff, made for heavy fish. This one's going to work me out a lot. That one has got much longer rod and whippier. The fish is fighting the whole time. He's not pulling on me, he's pulling on the rod. It's the whole, you know what, let's try to give him a little.
They said best movie ever.
My live catching a snook.
No, I think that they're saying this is either. Are you saying this is the best movie ever, or are you asking that question?
So you probably won't be able to see that, but I'm going to put this against the wall, and I want you to see how much it bends and flexes. I'm not scared of this either. That's a lot. If I do it like this, I need you to hold it, probably. Just to hold it. She's going to hold it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to hold it, but watch.
Nope.
But
wow,
now, the fish is fighting the rod.
Yep.
All right, there's a lot of motion in the rod.
No, they're saying it's the best movie ever. Not talking about a movie.
Now, when you hold this is very stiff.
Oh God, it's heavy too.
Look, now it's pulling on her more than it is the rod or the person that's holding it. It's very stiff. So
you want the rod to work and not you.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Efficient.
Yes. Robert, what's up? You heading south this weekend? All right. You going fishing? Me too.
The last thing.
He said he was hungry, and I said me too. Sorry, I didn't say I was heading south.
I carry an extras bag. The stuff that I use a lot of, I carry a pack of treble hooks in case I break a hook. I have some extra jig heads. We have a scale, which we should have all the time, but we don't. An extra bobber, some rope. This is actually a mesh bag, like a potato bag or onion bag, that we can use we can catch fish and put in it, or we can use it for chum. We can make chum in it and have it out there in the water. And a couple tie straps. Last thing, guys, nets.
Nets.
Two things. I'll do this quick. When you catch fish, you want to be able to cut it up. This is a Filet Board that makes it super easy. Did you ever try to put it on top of your cooler and try to hold the fish still and try to cut it? It's all over the place. This, you can either take their mouth or their tail, put it in there, and it will hold it down.
Perfect.
If you're a bass fisherman or you're catching thicker fish, wider fish, put their mouth in it and they stand straight up, flay down one side of the back, just the top, flay down the other side of the back, just the top, and now you just start peeling it away. It works pretty good. If you pull the fillets all the way off, just put a little bit in there and now you can skin it off. These are really cool and I love them, but I think I need one made out of plastic or something that's a little more durable than the wood. I've had this for
a long time.
Trying to think of when I actually bought a new one. I know I've had it for 15 years probably. So it's lasted, but it's already cracked, not in the greatest shape.
Right, well,
I love it. It works.
It seems there's a wide range in reel prices. In your opinion, what makes an expensive reel worth it?
Research. I know you don't want to hear that, because even every year they change.
Just like a computer.
Right. So
phone.
Here's a prime example. This is one of the most expensive reels I have, pound for pound, size for size. One of the most expensive ones I had. This cost me $240 just for this. But this year, they fixed a problem that they had for years and years and years. This roller bearing, the little roller that holds your line, it's actually a little bearing in there and it moves around. If it gets something in it, it'll start making noise, and it will make ugly noise. Like you can't fish with it anymore. It's not that it's not working, it's just making this noise. Sooner or later, it'll wear out completely. Inside, and last year's model was called a sealed reel, but they had a part inside there. Once you got down to a certain level, that part wasn't sealed. They have completely redone it. Now the entire thing is resealed. The roller bearing works, and I know how the reel works. I loved the reel. They're smooth. They got lots of drag. They handle things, but they had two problems. Well, they fixed them. It's worth it for me to buy a $240 reel now for this rod that I'll use almost every day that we go fishing.
Wow. Oh, so Robert, you're going to El Jabin for 2 weeks. Definitely going to fish. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you'll be right down the road from us.
Yep.
I'm coming to visit y'all.
Yeah,
cool.
sure.
Heck yeah.
Did that help with? I know it's hard. That price range is from, hey, I started and that's all the money I got. And guess what? That's great if you can take care of your equipment, keep it from getting wet, keep it clean. And I say don't abuse it. I abuse mine. I fish hard, but try to take care of your stuff and it'll last. Now, again, if you're fishing saltwater, do not get that saltwater on your reels unless you're not worried that you got a Stratic 4000 that's sealed, a BG, what do they call them? And really can't think of the name of them. Stellas. That if it's not sealed, be careful with it. If you're beach fishing, don't walk out where it's so deep that a wave splashes up over your reel. All right, last thing I'm going to go into is nets. And when you say net, it depends on what's in your head of what kind of net you're going to talk about. I'm going to start with the smallest to the biggest. So this is a bait net. It's not very big. See, it fits in my hand. It's 12 inches long, got about 5-6 inch circle-ish end on it. This is for us to get bait out of our bait pen or our live well. I have a second bait net, and this is for bigger bait. All right, a little bit bigger opening. This is just a kid's toy, but it works great for us for our bait pen that is about this deep. So we can take this and scoop out from the bait pen. Next type of net is a landing net. Now, if you're a trout fisherman, you might not want this one. All right, this is a big one, but they have nets that are basically as long as this, but from here up to here is all net. So you just have a handle because you're not going far. You're trout fishing there. You're having them come right to you. This kind of landing net, though, is more for what we're doing. A lot of you cat fishermen probably have something like this. Striper fishermen, walleye, have something like this.
And if you go to the jetties.
You go to the jetties, oof, take a net.
We forgot that one time.
I don't know how many fish I've lost because I didn't have a net and I was in a precarious place and I was more worried about not breaking my neck as opposed to catching the fish. But if I had a net, especially a collapsible one like this thing is 5.5 foot tall. It closes and opens the pole part. So now that it's only this tall, now, and there's all kinds of differences here too. Just same price points. You can go from the cheapest one out there to the most expensive. Look for the quality things that you know of. This isn't great for saltwater because it's got some parts on it that will rust. Oh, okay. But it does work for us, and we just don't know how long it's going to last. This is a big one made for bigger fish. I could probably fit in this thing. Fold it up. So there's all kinds of landing nets out there. We have 3 different ones. We have ones that fold frontwards with the net. All right, the next net is, some of you probably never seen one of these. So I will try to go through it. All tied up though. What's going on? There. There. All right. So you've got a stainless steel hoop right here, and another stainless steel hoop, and the net sags down. This is for fishing off piers or big docks that are way above the water. Careful with my tip. So let's say you have a fish down there swimming around. You drop this down. Let's say this is the surface of the water. You drop it under the surface of the water. You swim your fish in, pull it up, and now you've got all this rope and you pull it up over. Pier fishermen have seen it before, but a lot of people probably never seen a net like that. Or if you did, wonder what the heck do you do with that thing?
One of the questions was, do you ever service your rods and reels?
Yes.
Yes.
I do a little bit myself, and I do probably 40% of my cleaning. But when it comes to opening the reels up, I send them away now. As a matter of fact, as soon as we're done with this call, I have to set up an interview with the guy that does that for me. A local tackle shop cleans reels and services them, and he fixed 2 of them that we had, so we're going to do a live on that. We're going to do an interview with him and his tackle shop.
Yep. I have an RS net, cost me $200. Woo!
Yeah, see? Yeah. All right.
Hey, Peyton.
Hey, if you can get the best, get the best. I don't know if that is, I'm just saying.
Aw.
The last
Peyton
thing
said her favorite fishing family
is the cast net.
Oh, yep.
You take this out, you get it loaded up, you throw it, it spreads out like an umbrella over top of a bait, sinks to the bottom, you pull it up, and you get your bait.
Yes,
cast net.
And he has some great tutorials on the cast netting on our page if anybody's new here.
We fish any way that we can. We, stream fish, lake fish, beach, we wade in the ocean, but we do have a boat, and we do use the boat. We've got an 18.5-foot Key Largo center console, recreational style, and we love it. It's enough for us to get around inshore, and we have a great time. Oh, we are going to be cutting off here very shortly, because we didn't eat yet. But I'm going to try to read a couple things. Let me get my glasses. You answer. There's our little buddy. What are you doing?
You gonna let him in?
Nope, I'm gonna control this situation. And say hi. Say hi, everybody. Papa's youngest fishing buddy. All of alive. Good day, boss. Thanks, man. Thank you all for joining. Sorry if you're joining right now. We're just getting ready to end. I'll give you a quick hey what we did, and Lisa will post the full version on YouTube. Oh, I gotta take these off. They're for reading. All right, so we talked about rods, sizes, what the different parts are to a rod, and then we talked about the reels, how to match a reel to a rod, how their sizes are, what the differences are. Then we moved on to talking about line and matching your reel to the rod. So when you go out, the rod's the most important thing you're going to buy first. Then the reel has to match the rod and the type of fishing. Then the line has to match those and the fishing. And then the weights and the lures and all the little beautiful, colorful, shiny stuff that they want you to buy goes along with all that. And then we talked about extras, other things that you'll need that you might not think about. Something to cut line, pliers to, get fish off hooks or fix a problem, things to hold fish. Cutting boards, always having a towel, have a knife sharpener, a hook sharpener. Have a knife at all times on you when you are at the water, period. This never leaves my side. I've even showered with it.
And netting.
Yeah, and the different types of nets and what they were used for. The only thing I didn't talk about are tackle bags. And get this. All of this, all of that, all of this fits into this bag. And this is a waterproof bag. So if we're going offshore, going in the big boat or something, or going with somebody else, I can put all my saltwater gear in this bag, even my line. I can put all that stuff in there. I have this box, and this box is all my inshore stuff, so I keep them all together all the time, because that's normally what we're doing. If we go offshore, I grab this or grab whatever bag or box that I need. Try to stay organized with your stuff. Try to know where it is. If you have a wife like mine, she likes to put your stuff in different places just to mess with your head.
Shut your mouth.
No, you know it's true. 100%. Oh, here's two things I didn't talk about today. We'll get out of here. Does anybody know what these are? They're all three are different, but they all do the same job. All right. Check this out. This would work for this one. So I would slide this through here and slide it all the way down and push it over top of this, and it would help float it so I wouldn't lose it. That's one use of it. What they're originally made for, I don't know why they make them this small, is to put on the butt. See, that one's too big. I don't know if this fits any of them. See, this is the smallest one they make, and we use it on our grips and our fillet knives. So if we drop them over the boat, it'll float. So that's one use for them. The second use is, oh, I got a big fish on. And what do? You put the rod right here and go, oh, that hurts. Or you stick it in your belly or your gut. I had a hernia surgery, so I ain't doing that. But you put that there. Oh, that ain't bad. Oh, that's not bad at all. What you do is, it takes all that pressure off your body. That thing hurts. It's like stabbing yourself. But when you put that on there, or that on there, it's nice and soft. It doesn't hurt you anymore. You can think about fighting the fish, not how much the fish is fighting you.
Yeah. Got you a top water lure for your collection. Hopefully we'll meet up at some point while I'm down. That's Robert. He's the one that's come to El Jabin.
Well, then I got a top water lure for you too.
Yeah.
One other thing to always carry, and
hey, Sander.
I can get different sizes. This one's just for me going on the kayak with my ID, a credit card, and some cash. Mm-hmm. Now, I have a different thing that I put my phone in. Lisa has one that'll hold her phone, charger, and her personal belongings. But waterproof stuff. I don't care if you're saltwater, freshwater. I don't care if you fish a pond for bluegills. Have something waterproof, because sooner or later, the most important thing you got that day is going to touch that water. These types of rods and reels, look,
it's a candy store for him right now.
Yeah, you don't know. No. You don't know what size you're getting, so you need to be prepared when you're going out for tuna that they can all be. Hey,
yeah, the jacks fight nice. Hold on, I'll get it.
Guys, I hate to say it, but we're about ready to check out here. We haven't eaten yet, and apparently the youngins are getting restless. Our grandson needs a diaper change. Grandpa duty calls, I guess. So I appreciate everyone coming in. Those of you that may have gotten in late and didn't catch everything, we're going to post it on YouTube also. But we'll have some clips out of this on probably like the highlights of it on TikTok also. And again, we appreciate everyone coming in. Thank you. Still people coming in. We appreciate it all. Love you guys coming in to see our stuff, and we'll try to go live more and more. And I'll keep trying to set up the tutorials or tech stuff and keep y'all in the loop. Thank you. Tight lines. Have a good time. We love y'all.